What's up, and welcome to an episode of the Grindline Podcast. I am your host, Greg. You're listening to episode 189. I am here tonight with Ryan and Tyler, but we do have a special guest tonight. We have Eazy from Woodward Sports. How are you doing tonight?
What up, man? Hey, thank you for having me, guys.
Thank you for coming on.
Dude, no, you guys a Grindline podcast. You guys are legit.
No, you got the Woodward heavyweights, man. You got your own podcast.
Yeah, but yours is like been kicking ass. Like mine's like fairly new.
We try a little bit. I mean, we're for 5 years running now, guys.
You know, we talk about this, I think, every year, and we have to go back to when we first posted. I think it's around there because I've been on for, 3, going on 4 now?
Yeah. And we've hit some.
And I go back 4 years before that. So
yeah, you're the grizzled vet of the grind.
Yeah.
See, I hope our significant others are listening. So like when they like hear us forget our anniversaries, they know it's like everything, you know?
It's not just the anniversary. It's just forget everything. It doesn't, there's too much going on in here.
We're just living life, dude.
Or not enough. I'm not really sure.
So we have Eazy on tonight. So what I wanted to do tonight is we're going to do around Detroit sports, a little bit on the Lions, a little bit on the Pistons. Really don't want to talk about the Tigers, but we're going to talk a little bit about the Tigers. And then I kind of want to get an outside perspective on Detroit hockey and how people who maybe don't closely follow the sport view what's happening now, and maybe if they're starting to pay a little bit more attention. But tonight, I think what people are most excited about, Hard Knocks came out. Every episode has been awesome. And I don't follow football super religiously. I started a few years ago following it a little bit more. I've played in fantasy. But Hard Knocks has me pumped, man. Like, I am pumped up. Dan Campbell is a guy that I think any player should run through a brick wall for. And everyone gets real hopeful, but I went on to NFL.com's power rankings, and the Lions right now are ranked 25. Granted, they're up 2 spots, but they're ranked 25. So how are we feeling about the moves the Lions made in the offseason? Educate me, because I will say I am dumb in the field. So
it's tough to as a Detroit Lions fan, I have PTSD, man. Like there's no doubt about it, man. That every time like you thought they were good, they just weren't. And like you just sold the bill of Kool-Aid every single year. But I would say the additions this year would be like Jared Goff actually has someone to throw to, a couple guys to throw to. And that's, both, TJ Hawkinson's finally healthy again. They brought in Josh Reynolds back. Amon St. Brown emerged last year. Plus DJ Chark they brought in as a free agent. And then Jamison Williams was our second first round pick. They traded up to grab him. But he's not going to play until after week 4 because he was drafted after an ACL injury. But in the NFL, as of late, ACL injuries aren't like the end of your career. Like we've seen Adrian Peterson bounce back and win an MVP afterwards. So like Odell Beckham actually tore his ACL, won the Super Bowl, got hurt, and tore his other ACL in the Super Bowl actually. But
medicine's gotten better.
Yeah. And like as much as Jared Goff like isn't the sexiest to watch play football, he has been to the Super Bowl. He has been a part of winning teams. So like there's hope that he can restore that because we finally gave him some guys to throw to. And we have a pretty good offensive line too.
Which I already saw a kind of dink in the armor though. Was it Vitae went down? He's out for at least the first 4 weeks already.
Yeah, Big V's on IR, something to do with his back. But like last year, the Detroit Lions had injuries in the offensive line from Frank Ragnow and to our left tackle, Taylor Decker. But we still ranked 13th overall as an offensive line unit. And that's with 2 backups in. So I think we'll survive with just, one guy banged up for now. I have faith.
It's got to speak. You look at the Red Wings and the new coaching staff. You think that just a lot of that comes down to coaching? Because, you look at what they've got for those that have watched Hard Knocks. Almost every guy in their coaching staff, I'm talking off the top of my head, has some sort of NFL experience.
Yeah.
And they have, they had one of the most collective experiences in the NFL for their coaching
years.
Staff. Yeah. Between their primary coaches is insane.
Yeah.
But you think that just truly speaks to what they've got going right there for that?
Yeah, I think it speaks to like, I guess you could trust in the culture, but at the end of the day, Brad Holmes actually just said this, the general manager. He's like, ultimately it comes down to winning losses. Like we can feel as good as we want, but like it has to translate to wins, which I still think we're like in the process of. Because if you watch Hard Knocks, I think it was like episode 2 or 3, when we were doing the joint practice with the Colts.
Yep.
Dan Campbell thanked Frank Wright, which is the Colts head coach. He's like, we really need this. I appreciate you like doing this for us. And I hope we can give you the same, which it sounded like, hey, like we know we're kind of like still in the developmental stage, you know. So I'm not expecting big things, but definitely better than last year, and definitely like I'm looking to see us, I guess, on the right foot going forward, you know.
Doesn't a lot of it have to do too with like the division kind of not in shambles, but you look at the Vikings and they're kind of on the downside. The Packers, losing Devontae Adams, and then the Bears can't ever figure it out. So
yeah, no, you're 100% right. Like the Vikings just had turnover at the head coaching position, which I'm kind of high on their new head coach, but I mean, they still have to prove it, right? But the Bears, they stink right now. Aaron Rodgers, he's getting older. He's still, to be honest with you, I mean, I don't like the Packers, but let's not lie. Aaron Rodgers is the freaking man. So, like, I don't want to discount him. But, yeah, he's lost Devontae Adams, and he's like has a plethora of rookies as his wide receivers head into this year. So, like, there's that. And we have the fifth easiest schedule. We know how that goes, but you have to actually see how it goes. But, yeah, the fifth easiest predicted schedule out of, like, all the teams in the NFL. So that's, like, there's definitely some reasons to like think they're going to win some games, but I'm not going to jump over and say like playoffs or anything like that. Because again, I got that PTSD. It's kicking my ass. So
I think they could be in the mix.
Yeah, I think they'll threaten. You'll see them. Same thing with the Red Wings last year. You know what I'm saying? They'll make the graphic card like in the hunt. But
and then All-Star break happens, and then you fall off a cliff.
And you're like, oh,
yeah, exactly.
I feel like, to me, just because when you're on sports Twitter, you get around all the bases, and I feel like that the Lions are now where maybe the beginning of Steve Yzerman was. You come in, there's a bunch of, for lack of a better term, stuff that needs to die off, and you get rid of it, and you're remolding the team, and you bring in your new coach. Yeah. So maybe the past few years were the end of the Ken Holland era, and we're trying to retool. We're trying to push what we have forward. We think we've got a really good team. We're just adding small pieces. When in reality, what had to happen was you needed to sell stuff off. You needed to get really young. You needed to get high draft picks and then start doing what you need to do. And from listening to just around the sports sphere, it sounds like that is now what the Lions are doing, because they have a competent general manager, because we feel now they have a good coach. And I mean, how do you feel Sheila's been? I mean, I know a lot of people are not happy about the Fords, but it seems like Sheila's different than what her predecessors have been.
Dude, she's so much like people, and I am a fan, as well as like I'm not even consider myself an analyst. I just talk sports and make dick jokes, but like Sheila truly is different though. Like you look, like she literally changed her name. Like it used to be like Sheila Ford Hamp. She dropped the Ford. You know, say I think
that's what you got to do.
Last year she got booed during a halftime alongside Calvin Johnson when he got his Hall of Fame coat and ring. And I think it was like an eye opener for her. And she's also like a former athlete too. She used to play tennis, so she has like a natural competitive side to her. And like let's be real about it too. Like women in all sports, they're kind of like they have to prove themselves more than a man would.
Even though they shouldn't have to, they have to.
Exactly. And she's got that too, because before she even, I mean, her family's rich as shit, so I don't know what she was doing before, but I know she applied to work for the NFL, and she didn't like end up getting hired. So like, I think she truly has some like, a chip on her shoulder, something to prove. And the fact she took the Ford out of her last name, she put her office in between both Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes. Like she's a lot more hands-on than the past like owners were. And to be honest too, like the Lions actually saw a decrease in attendance last year. And like you all know, money runs everything. So once you hit the pockets, it's time to make a change. And again, I think she has something to prove. Like I spoke with Darius Slay when he went to the Eagles, and I was like, what's the difference over there compared to here? Because everyone says like, we need new ownership. And he's like, well, the Eagles owner, he can tell you what position this guy is and what that guy should be doing. Where like at the time, Martha Ford couldn't. She was, I don't want to sound disrespectful, but she's up there in age, wearing diapers. But like, we have that now though. Sheila's like active and trying to learn that stuff. I mean, like I said, she put her built an office in between both Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes. She's always up to speed and hands-on with almost everything.
I think it's a lot of having to give trust to who you hire. You hire the people to do a job. So 100%. Like Chris Ilitch hired Steve Yzerman and said, Steve, build this team. Chris Ilitch failed to fire Al Avila until recently. and for better or worse said, do what you will to this team. And then he just did nothing. And it was, I think that's the thing though, is as an owner, I think you need to have deep knowledge of your team and what's going on, but you also have to have the ability to sit back and let the people you hired to do a job do their job.
Yes.
I think that's the double-edged sword with Illich right now too. Because I mean, you mentioned Martha, how she was up there in age. I mean, that's you kind of think about what Mike Illich was at even up until before he passed. He was still very engaged. You'd see him often still on the Jumbotron or at the game watching what's going on. Yeah. I know, granted, yes, he was older. Chris was probably really taking the reins as he was getting toward the end there, but he was still active, very much involved as to what was going on. I can't assume or say that I know what Martha was like, but it kind of seemed like the opposite sometimes, even though you saw Martha on the sideline, like how much was she engaged directly? Like what you mentioned with Sheila, was it the same? I mean, I don't want to put my foot in my mouth and say I know one way or the other because I don't, but it seemed like she was just there to make the presence rather than.
She was always wearing them sunglasses, Ryan. She could have been asleep half the time.
That's also true. Those are some badass. I want to know what those sunglasses were, how much those things probably cost.
You don't want to know.
I think they're prescription. but it's interesting because you see the passing of the torch to the younger generation of ownership. Granted, it stayed within the family for both the Wings, Tigers, and Lions. But like you mentioned, that's where the different dynamic seems to be hitting home with the Lions. And I mentioned before we got on, like I'm on the border of excitement and trying not to get like my hopes up because it seems to happen most years. And this Hard Knocks has kind of added to that level of, maybe they've got something going on. Bro.
Yeah, it makes you want to jump in the pool full of Kool-Aid is what Hard Knocks 100%. Has done.
So
remember that movie
hard.
Big Fat Liar?
Yeah. Yeah,
his whole body is like blue.
Yeah,
so his picture jump in the pool Kool-Aid. I want to say this too about Mr. I. Like, I think the reason why he was so great and they were able to pass on like what they did, he actually purchased his team, so he had pride in like building that. Where the Ford family, it's kind of been passed on. I'm saying like kind of like, and I'm not trying to like take a shot at Chris Illich, but like he inherited the team, and when he inherited it was like it seems like he cares more about money. Where Mr. Illich had pride in that. Where Sheila, I know she inherited it, but like as a female owner, I think she has some pride, something to prove too.
Well, I think Chris has a little bit more connection to the Wings. Everyone has always said that Chris loved hockey. He grew up around the team. He was there for the Stanley Cups, and he got to see like Hall of Fame level teams, like 10 Hall of Famers on a team, just go out there every night and play, and what that was able to do to the city. And Chris, I don't think, was as involved in the tie. I mean, from recent interviews that he's done, you can tell that the finger is not on the pulse of the Tigers for Chris Illich. So I think he really, really cares about the Red Wings, so much so as he went and got Steve Yzerman to run the team. So
you mentioned a good one there. So like how excited the city gets around the Red Wings. Just think if the Lions finally just win the division once.
You want Detroit to be more on fire?
Game. Yeah. Just think of how crazy this city will be because Michigan, as much as they're a hockey state, it's a football state, man.
Yep.
And especially the Metro Detroit area. Like this weekend, all you saw were football jerseys because it was the start of the season. People were freaking nuts and excited. The big house was packed.
Oh, yeah.
East Lansing was packed. Yeah, it was. Neighbor's house was packed because we were all watching football. If the Lions finally get out of the bottom of the barrel, it's going to drive Detroit insane because it's going to likely coincide with the Pistons and the Red Wings, and to be determined on the Tigers.
Yeah, I'll just say one thing too. Like it just feels like me. Obviously, my second favorite team is the Lions. I'm more of a Patriots fan just because I live where I live. But like it feels like the perspective of the Lions across the NFL. And not just like the fan bases, but like just across the NFL, like circles and stuff, is that they're not going to be a laughing stock as they've been over the last, several years.
Yes, I agree. Like I said, the evolution, like we're turning the page to at least semi-respectable, hopefully.
Kind of like the Wings when Yzerman finally took over.
Yep.
Yes, yeah. Because like people knew it was going to take some time, but like, oh shit, they got
now they're coming
over there now.
Watch out.
Yeah.
So who are you most excited for?
Dude, I'm excited to see development of both second-year players in terms of Lucas Raymond, the Calder Cup trophy winner. And by the way, too, I was listening to him. I don't know who he was speaking. He was talking about another defenseman who he said was actually better than him. Mo Sider, I'm talking about. I apologize. But Mo Sider was talking about another defenseman that he thought was better than him, more skilled when he got drafted versus like him just like enjoying the game and like loving it out there. And like this year, he's taking he's turning the page to like becoming a pro. You know what I'm saying, where he's actually like working to better his skill set. It's kind of
Imagine
scary
that.
to think about because he won the Calder Cup off of like just loving the game and going hard. And now he's taking the, you know what I'm saying, turn the page to become more cerebral out there as well.
Dangerous.
Like,
it's like
I'm
a Terminator.
Some Momo I want.
It's a little terrifying.
Dude,
actually.
I know. It's crazy.
The German machine. So for the Lions, what about Rodrigo, man? He's become a star.
Yeah, man. I don't want to I don't pat myself in the back too much, but boy called that, man. I think it was the first one out here at Woodward Sports, and I was like, I'm texting everybody. This is like the day after the draft, and I'm like doing all my, you know, us nerds, like we'll watch film and shit like that. And am I allowed to swear in here? I apologize.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
YouTube will yell at us, but we don't care.
Yeah, we've been getting yelled at because apparently people watch. I'm not insulting or trying to be mean, but I learned that people actually watch or listen to this with their kids. So I thank you, but I'm also sorry. So
yeah,
yes, I will limit it.
We said fuck, and then someone in the comments goes, "Watch your language. There are children around." And I said, I marked this as not for kids. So I mean, learn how to parent your kids.
Joke.
Learn how to parent your fucking kids. That's what I said. So. Yeah, Malcolm Rodriguez, Oklahoma State linebacker.
Yes.
6th round draft pick.
Yeah. Dude, you put on the tape, you hit the YouTube machine, dude, and put up like either you want to watch tape or you watch highlights, you'll get the same reaction. Like, holy crap. Like this kid looks like the real deal. And he's a former wrestler, two-time state champion wrestler. So like when he gets there, it's with violence, man. And I love that about him. He's shorter in stature, so he's got that more
lower center of gravity.
Yeah, dude. And like I went to all the open practices I went to, and he's just scooping guys and escorting them to Mother Earth, man. It's fucking beautiful.
What is it with former wrestlers just being beasts on the football field?
I'm a big like MMA fan too. I actually used to like train jiu-jitsu, and like when I was a white belt, I could like take any normal person off the street, you just do whatever the hell you want with them. If they wrestled in high school, it's a different story. Like wrestlers go
they grapple
hard, bro. Like more than any other like sport. I feel like I guess like growing up, like they fucking do, man. Wrestlers are badass motherfuckers.
Yeah, no, it's impressive. I mean, I don't say that I was great at jiu-jitsu. I had to do stuff with the military, but you could always tell there's a lot of people that were, ironically enough, wrestlers that had joined the military. And they were the worst ones to go and spar against because you think you're in a good spot, then they just wiggle and they're on top of you, and you're like, I hate everything about my life right now because I'm choking.
There's some tough motherfuckers.
No, I must ask one question. I know these guys are going to give me shit for it, but me being a Michigan fan, the way I am, what are your expectations for Aiden Hutchinson this year? The Lions.
Holy shit!
I'm glad you brought that up.
Is a stud, man. Like. I was at all the open practices, and like Rodrigo like had his plays every once in a while, and like he's going against the twos majority of the time. Well, Aiden was going against the ones, and like they do this thing where I don't know if you guys know like JJ Watt.
Oh yeah.
Well, he used to like move across the entire line. You know what I'm saying, from like inside, the outside, the opposite side of the line, and like they're doing that with Aiden when he gets on the inside. And mind you, like we have one of the more like respectable offensive lines in the NFL. It was destroying Jonah Jackson. It was like, well, I was like, holy shit, like this kid's it. And to be honest with you, like heading into the draft, like I was unsure, man. I didn't know what to think because I don't know why I underestimated him, to be honest with you, but like he's a fucking real deal. He's the real deal. You saw it in Hard Knocks at the very end. I think it's the first episode, or maybe the second one. We're doing like the post-credit scenes. It's Aaron Glenn, the defensive coordinator, and he's asking the other guys, like, you think we got one? Everyone's like, yeah.
Hutch seems to me like, I feel like he's like and this might be a bad comparison to make, the Mo Sider of the Lions.
Yes, so no, that's a good comparison.
And then in fact that it seems like from watching Hard Knocks just like Mo does, he's very receptive to feedback. He himself, he lives the game, wants to play the game, wants to get better. And it's the same thing Mo does. Mo came in, Mo listened to every bit of information, took every opportunity as a learning opportunity. And you saw what he did year one. And I feel like that is, from watching Hard Knocks, what Hutch does, because anytime he's on the screen and someone's giving him feedback, you can tell that he's actually listening. Mm-hmm. And that's a hard thing to get in a player, I feel.
Yeah. I was going to say the cool part about that is the fact that, like, I guess the difference is there's already a culture established with the Red Wings. Like, even when, like, you know, Dylan Larkin's been here already, and like they haven't won, but they've played hard, and I think the coaching has been decent. But with the Lions, I mean, I guess Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes, but like, other than that, a culture. Aiden Hutchinson created a culture at Michigan, and he's going to go to the Lions and do the same thing just by working hard and being a great teammate. So,
and
yes, 100%.
Throw this one out there real quick. Like, everything you guys are mentioning, I don't know, where was Mo at on defensive or the Calder's, like, preseason? Wasn't he like a plus 2,300
he was,
or something like that?
When I put my bet on him before the season, it was plus 2,000 odds, I think.
I think it was something crazy high, because he was
him and Raymond were both plus 2,000 or plus 1,800 or something. AKA
not the favorites.
Yeah, no, not at all.
The crazy thing now is not only the Athletic across the board, their writers have picked Aiden Hutchinson to win the Defensive Rookie of the Year. He's also the betting favorite for Defensive Rookie of the Year.
Yes.
So that tells you the type of guy that they've brought on this team. And I'm a Buckeye. So the last several years of the Lions' demise, all I've wanted has been a Bosa or a Chase Young, and we've lost on every single one. I have the same excitement getting Aiden Hutchinson off of Michigan in Detroit as I would have had for all those guys, because that you see what they've been able to do in such a short time frame. That's the type of impact I think that Hutchinson's going to bring for the Lions, and that's huge. They need it. Yeah, and they've got the 100%. Coaching staff in the group hopefully coming together to make that happen, as we're starting to see with the Red Wings.
Now all the Lions need is a Will Anderson in the middle linebacker position.
Yeah.
Blake Martinez.
So, Eazy, you made your predictions yet for the season? What's the record?
Okay. I did go, originally I did say 9, but that was like way, like, fresh out of the Kool-Aid pool. You know what I'm saying?
That'd be 9 and 8, right?
But they're playing 17 games this season.
Like 7, 8 on the high side. And that's because, like, I did count this Eagles game for the home opener this Sunday as a win, because, like, it's just so, I could go on and on about it. But essentially, we faced them a lot of times in the NFL. You always hear the term sophomore slump, most often referred like to quarterbacks, because, like,
same with hockey.
Coordinators get a year of tape on them. They find out what they can do and what they can't do, and they try to expose that. Well, Jalen Hurts is a guy, he's heading to his sophomore year as a starter. Aaron Glenn, when he had tape on Lamar Jackson, he had a game plan that was so damn good for Lamar Jackson. He was the best rushing quarterback in the NFL. That other coordinators are calling him like, yo, what the hell you did? Like, what'd you do? And I think he's going to be able to apply that to Jalen Hurts after a year of tape. But initially, I counted that as a win. But since then, we lost Big V. They got another dog-ass cornerback in their defensive secondary. So, like, Eagles might actually beat us at home. I don't want to.
As long as it's not a repeat, was it last season or 2 years ago?
Yeah, that's the game that got Anthony fired or demoted, I should say.
So you're going to say 8 and 9?
Yeah, I'll say 8 and 9. Why not?
8 and 9. All right, we're going to move on to the Detroit Pistons. I can tell you absolutely nothing about the Detroit Pistons. Troy Weaver is the general manager, and that is about all I can tell you right now. And the fact that I get angry every time people say Cade Cunningham is a million times better than Mo Sider. That makes me angry. So
you can't. First of all, you can't compare the two.
They're two completely different. You put Cade on some skates. Let's see what he's got.
At least put them in their sport for their age.
Sure.
Like, you can put them on the same tier, because to me, I mean, Cade got robbed last year of his Rookie of the Year, but that's a whole different subject from.
Would you put Cade in the top 10 in his position though right now?
Huh?
Cade, would you put him top 10 in his position right now?
No, probably not.
So I put Mo Sider top 10 in his position right now.
Even though NHL Network had him at 11.
Even though NHL Network's fucking stupid, no one cares.
That's fucking crazy though. You know what I'm saying? After 1 year, that's wild.
So give me the lowdown on the Pistons. Why should Detroit hockey fans start paying attention to the Pistons? And I hear they've just got some amazing rookies.
Yeah. So this team, like, as much as I love Cade Cunningham, I still would have told you it's probably like a year of development we needed last year. This year, whether we're good or bad, this team's going to be entertaining nonetheless. It just drafted a kid, 6'4", Jaden Ivey out of Purdue, who could jump out of the gym. He's more like, for like, I guess if non-traditional basketball fans, if you heard of Russell Westbrook, and I might get attacked for even making that comparison, but good made, you work out with him, shit like that. He's just explosive, man. This team's explosive. We went and we jumped back into the first round and then got a 7-foot center that could actually like jump. You were used to like the gumps, not the guys that could jump. And like we got one of those in Jalen Duren. So like for sure, again, win or lose, like we're going to be entertaining. Cade Cunningham's a great, I think he's going to be a phenomenal playmaker. And so I think he's going to serve those guys up in prime positions, but make some highlights. Like again, exciting. That's the one thing I'll say for sure. I won't say they're going to win, but I'll tell you they're going to be exciting. And like, obviously, as they develop, you know what I'm saying, they'll start to win some games. But this year, I'm just saying more so excitement, like highlight plays and stuff like that.
So, I mean, the biggest thing I think we got going right now is that it's easy to compare the Pistons, Lions, and Wings because of what they've done with their front office, coaching staffs, top draft picks. I mean, we've got Dwayne Casey's got what this year and next year remaining on his contract. I mean, is this the year that's going to kind of dictate whether or not that is another extension? Because I know he was recently extended. I think he was extended last year.
That's correct? A good question, man.
I mean, that's
a very good question.
Is that going to be make or break, like how the performance is, or is there an expectation because they do have another big first round pick going in this season that could, if it turns into a lottery, but not necessarily a fault of his own. I mean, is there that much patience?
Well, we can tie that back to the Red Wings too, Ryan. I mean, it was the same deal with Jeff Blashill. Jeff Blashill had garbage teams for years and years and years, and everyone kept calling for him to be fired. Yeah. And it's like, why are you going to fire him when he's got nothing to work with? So now that maybe Casey's got something to work with, just like last season when Blash had something to work with, and he was doing great up until the All-Star break, and then post All-Star break fell off a cliff and tanked the record, and then had to be fired. Is it the same deal with Dwayne Casey? Are they expected to be better now because they've got a Cunningham in second year, because they've got these 2 new draft picks that are supposed to be really, really good? I'm looking at right now the Athletics piece, Kemba Walker in a trade, Alec Burks in a trade, Nerlens Noel in a trade. So,
well, Kemba's gone, right? He was just
so he's technically still on the team right now. So I don't know what's going on in that situation.
I thought he was they acquired him to
buy him out. Yeah.
Yeah.
So they haven't officially done it yet. And like, there's still a couple, Kevin Durant's supposedly supposed to be staying in Brooklyn, but I think Troy Weaver just being like, he's pretty crafty. He obviously hasn't like proven it to the extent of like Yzerman, but like, and I'm not one of the people saying this, by the way, but some people are comparing the two, you know what I'm saying, of like just how they always seem to win trades, get the better up end of like every single trade they make. So like they're saying that he still may include that contract into like another 3-team trade just so he can get his hands in on it and get something from it. But you know, this team, like I said, they're going to be exciting, man. And I think Casey, going back to that question, I think like you for sure have to give him 2 years because like as much as these guys are exciting, they still have to like go through and you know, cut their teeth a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Learn the game to actually win games. Plus like our division, the Pistons, they just added another like all-star caliber guy. Oh, he's an all-star. And Donovan Mitchell just signed or got traded to the Cavs. So like, it definitely got tougher. But I like that, man. That means we got to step up. And that means like, you know what I'm saying? We might see some splash moves made just so we can compete. But I give those guys 2 years until they start.
So I have a question for you because I'm not a big NBA fan, but what I do know about the NBA is team building is extremely tough. And if you don't have a superstar, you know, good luck winning. Other than I think the 2004 Pistons were like one team that people would argue that didn't have a superstar.
Because they were a team.
Won.
Exactly.
Do you see Cunningham or Ivy becoming a superstar? Or do you think they could both be superstars and they just need one more to have like a big 3 kind of thing?
So like, I guess it depends like how you want to view superstar. Like I've actually taken a lot of slack because like I feel like Ivy is a lot more bluff than he is production, but that doesn't mean he can't be like a productive piece of this team. You know what I'm saying? So like, but Cade Cunningham, I think that kid's the real deal. Basketball is a big man's game at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? And we have a guy in Cade Cunningham who's 6'6", who plays the point guard position, which is like a huge mismatch. And he sees the floor really well, like pace, the way he like controls the pace of the game. As a rookie last year, stuff you just don't see. Like if anyone cared to, like after the fact, after they watch this, hit the like button. But there's a game, him and Kevin Durant just went back and forth in terms of like swapping leagues and stuff like that. And you don't see that out of rookies, man. He's 6'6". Again, that's a matchup nightmare. And like in basketball, the term wings win you rings. And he's basically a wing playing the point guard position. So I think Cade can be the real deal. He's really cerebral. You know what I'm saying? He's not extremely athletic. And that's like, I mean, that wins games sometimes, you know what I'm saying? And like surround him with athleticism and Ivy and Duren, and they get used to, you know what I'm saying? Once they cut their teeth, they'll maybe start to win some games. But I think Cade can become that superstar. I think Ivy will probably garner more attention just because of like how flat, like Zegras, everyone's like riding Zegras, but even though, you know what I'm saying, you'd rather take Mo, like Mo's probably a better player overall, but Zegras is like flashier. That's how I look at Ivy. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think Cade is more fundamental to winning basketball games, but Ivy's going to do a lot more sexy stuff that you're going to see on Sports Center or like jump out of your seat because he did it, you know?
You're saying more flash, less substance instead of more substance, less flash.
Hey.
Yes, with Ivy, but with Cade Cunningham, more substance. You know?
Going to put butts in seats.
Makes money, man.
Yes, 100%.
So right now, The Athletic ranks the Pistons 25th in the league right now.
That's a weird pattern already.
Yeah. 25th in the league. Now, again, you're talking about chemistry. They got to build some chemistry. They got to start to gel as a team. They got to work out the systems. Do you see them having an overall positive season? Or do you see them kind of like the 25 lower of the pack?
They'll probably end up back in the lottery. Like,
not a bad place to be.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, they're rebuilding, man. Like, it is what it is. Like, some people get butthurt about it because like they're so eager to win, but it's like, here in Detroit specifically, we saw the Red Wings win championships. And we see the Pistons win championships. I want a championship. You know what I'm saying? Like, a lot of people are like rushing to win just to see a play-in or playoff series. Like, no, dude, I want to win like a championship. I want to go to a parade down Woodward. I'm not just like want to see us win for the fuck of it. I want to see us do it the right way. And I had those experiences, but I was younger then. You know what I'm saying? Now I'm like old enough to go get drunk and go down Woodward, man. So like, give me that all day, man.
You want to sustain success, not a one and done.
100%.
You want to build the dynasty. It's what Yzerman's doing now. Is you're building a team to not just win tomorrow, but you're building a team that can try to win for the next 10 years.
Exactly.
For the next 8 years, like he did with Tampa. Tampa is in it every single year, and it's because of the foundation he laid and built from there.
And this is like one thing the Red Wings have, the Pistons don't, is like, obviously the Red Wings are like one of the original six. Like, they're like a badass franchise in hockey. They used to be a dynasty back when Stevie Y was playing. And like, the Pistons don't have that. So like, we truly have to build through the draft. Like, the Red Wings, like, at least when Stevie Y picks up the phone, I don't remember which free agent it was this year, but they were like, holy shit, like Stevie Y's calling. You know what I'm saying? Like,
all of them.
Braun, Sherratt, they were like,
all of them. Hi. They said when Yzerman calls, you answer the phone.
100%. The Pistons don't have that. You know what I'm saying? Like, we have to build to the draft. So like, I'm totally cool with going, back to the well and grabbing another lottery pick because we're not necessarily going to get those guys off the free market the way like the Red Wings can.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
It's exciting. That's what, because you think about what you just mentioned though, with the Pistons potentially 2 years away from having that team that's going to make a wow and really compete, for lack of better words.
Yeah.
You got to think Detroit or the Wings, obviously Detroit, we're all talking about all Detroit. The Wings are probably arguably the exact same boat.
Yep.
Yes.
So there's two teams that are potentially playoff bound in 2 years. And thankfully for the city, both those teams play at the same time. So it's going to make LCA a hot spot.
Oh, yeah.
Now, if you can throw the Lions into that mix in the next 2 years,
man,
you're going to
aren't the Lions looking to get a new arena too?
They're going to build a new stadium?
Some things flirting around with it.
Yeah, they've been talking about getting a new stadium.
Where?
I don't mind a Ford Field though, but I mean, if they want to do it, do it. It sucks every time they do that.
Win, man.
They're like taking taxpayer money and shit. Like LCA, as much as like it's a badass arena, like during Pistons games, that place used to be fucking empty.
They changed the seats because of it, and I'm pissed off.
I hate the black seats.
The black seats look
well, like
so
when
much better.
no one was there, it was like obvious, like, oh shit. Like,
Exactly.
right now. It's like
I think we had a whole episode.
Pensions to make this happen. You know?
I think we had a whole episode complaining about the seat
At
color.
least half an episode about changing the seat color just because no one showed up to Pistons games.
Yeah.
And it's like they showed like the 15 people that were in the middle because they ended up shoving everyone down to the bottom because no matter what ticket you bought, they had to move you down to show the TV that there were actually people there. So yeah, and then they had to change the seat color. I think the Pistons paid to change all the seat colors because it looked bad on TV, all the empty red seats.
It looked awful.
But the red seats were awesome.
Stand out more, I think, with the black seats than you did the red.
Yep, absolutely. So before we move on tonight to the Tigers, for all of probably 5 minutes, we need to take a quick break for a word from our sponsors. The wait is almost over. A new football season is about to begin. Get ready for the NFL Week 1 action with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. To celebrate the return of football, DraftKings is giving new customers a can't-miss offer. Bet just $5 on any football game and get $200 in free bets instantly. Want more action for opening night? Everyone can experience the thrill of DraftKings early win promotion. Get up 7, you win. Bet on any NFL team of your choice, and if your team leads by 7 points at any point during the game, you get paid instantly, even if your team loses. DraftKings is safe, secure, and reliable. Best of all, you can deposit and withdraw your cash whenever you want. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use promo code THPN to get $200 in free bets instantly when you place a $5 bet on any football game. That's code THPN only at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See show notes for details. So I've been listening to a lot of the Factually podcast with Adam Conover. You might know him from Adam Ruins Everything, and it's been great. One reason it's been great to listen to, because I use my Raycon wireless earbuds to do it. Raycon's everyday earbuds look, feel, and sound better than ever. With optimized gel tips for the perfect in-ear fit, these earbuds are so comfortable and they will not budge, trust me. Raycons give you 8 hours of playtime and a 32-hour battery life and are priced just right. You get quality audio at half the price of other premium audio brands. It's no wonder Raycon's everyday earbuds have over 50,000 five-star reviews. They have 3 customizable sound profiles, whether you're listening to music or podcasts like us. They have earbud tap functions to start, stop, pause, answer your phone calls, the earbud functions you need without having to open up your phone and flip through options. And they have noise isolation, which blocks out the outside noise so you can hear what you're listening to a lot better. For me personally, I enjoy the awareness mode that lets you hear kind of outside conversations if you're listening to something, but also need to pay attention to what's going on around you. So go to buyraycon.com/THPN today to get 15% off your Raycon order. That's buyraycon.com/THPN to score 15% off. buyraycon.com/THPN. And we are back and unfortunately have to at least mention the Detroit Tigers. I think the bright spot in the Tigers is that Al Avila is gone.
Yes.
I have heard nothing about a new search for a general manager. That probably won't happen until the offseason. Right now, the Detroit Tigers sit at a 51-84 record. That is a 37.8% win percentage. It's real bad. I mean, some nights it's entertaining and fun to watch, and they win by a lot. But most nights, I think they would lose like 12-0 the other day or yesterday.
They lost 10-0 yesterday.
10-0. They're getting blown out like the Wings at the end of last season. And it's
to the point we've had like a third baseman step in to pitch for us.
Spencer Torkelson's in Toledo, right? He's still in Toledo.
No, he's back. Is he back up or did they send him back down? He was back up, I thought.
To be honest with you, I've completely checked out of ever since they fired Avila. I was like, cool, like this season's a wash.
Adam Baydoun is very excited.
Friedler up over the weekend.
So he's back up, but he was back. He was down for a while.
Yes.
He was down for a while.
Austin Meadows, a big trade acquisition.
Yep.
He's out for the season now.
It's mental health recovery.
Yeah, they're honestly like they're not even worth talking about. This like they're so far away from like how we were just talking about all the upside stuff with the Pistons and the Red Wings and the Lions. Like,
well, Riley Green, there's a bright spot. Yes. Riley Green's he is an absolute machine. Riley Green, he's diving for everything, even though it means nothing.
Is that literally the one thing that you can be happy about Al Avila right now?
Is Riley Green?
Got Riley Green.
Tarek Skubal Tarek Skubals did good this season.
Weren't they talking about trading him at the deadline?
They were, but they didn't.
Thankfully.
They didn't do anything.
Yeah.
But they didn't trade Tarek Skubal.
He's been okay with like pitchers. Everything else is like, he's can't get anyone.
That's
to
been
hit
the
damn
one
ball.
bright spot, really, is pitching.
Well, that's because all he drafted
Which
for
is
like 4 years
crazy.
straight.
Because remember, we were going to the World Series. We were like, we wanted more depth at pitching. Like, we wanted more guys in the bullpen.
Well, it's because we were crushing the ball. We had one of the top offenses in baseball, and then all of a sudden we
The
get up
bullpen was
against the Cardinals and
trash.
freaking Giants, and we can't hit the broadside of a barn.
God, dude.
You ran into the 2013 Boston Red Sox.
I want to hear your
Yeah, that
shit.
sucked too.
How the Sox doing, Tyler?
I don't want to talk about it. Okay?
Exactly.
In last place, we're behind the Baltimore Orioles right now. So.
Oh wow.
Here's where we're at, though. Like we've got folks got Detroit Dan decline at 66.
Oh, Dan's awesome.
Best person on Twitter and in person, but he's got a countdown for the remaining 27 games. This is after last night's game, I think, or right before it. The Tigers have to go 11-16 to avoid a 100 loss season.
And they're not going to do that. No way.
We're going to be celebrating them not if they don't get to 100 wins. That's how this year and the last several years have gone.
It's bad,
It's
man.
crazy too, because like Chris Illich like let Avila stay around for the draft and everything. Before
And the
Why?
trade deadline.
And the deadline.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yep. And then he made a trade within our own division for I think like a 28, 29-year-old AAA player. Like
Mhm.
I don't know.
do you think it was the fans, though? Do you think the fans forced that because the shirts happened and the outcry online happened and everyone at the stadium with the Fire Avila chants?
Yeah,
And I mean, it to me,
for sure.
I don't
They're your
think
paying
that.
customers, though, man.
Sure. Yeah.
It's-
And
Yeah, I think that's what happened though. Is like, you know, like people stopped going. Like it's been empty there lately.
Yeah.
man. And like that's one thing, Chris. I'd say I understand a little bit to the point of him wanting to balance out the books a little bit after Mr. I passed because you know they're blowing money like crazy. There's no salary cap in baseball. But it's also like this guy's taking L's on trades. You know,
Yeah.
it's not just signings. It's like every trade he's made, there hasn't been a single one where you could say he got the better of the other team.
Verlander.
I think the Verlander trade, there's two guys that don't even play baseball anymore.
Yeah.
they're working at Wendy's.
From the Astros, like you couldn't
100%.
have gotten like one of the Astros top prospects.
And look what Verlander's done since then, right? Look what he's
Yeah.
done since he got traded too,
Oh, you mean
Like-
remained one of the top pitchers in baseball?
right?
Even
Crazy.
like one of the only trades like people were saying we did win when it first happened, like the Austin Meadows one.
Yeah.
Reyes goes over to the Rays, he starts knocking out homers, like, and that was his thing here. They're like, yo, he has no power. And he goes to Tampa and he's knocking him out of the park. And it's
Yep.
like,
That's because our fence needs to be moved in. I hate
that's
that
true
damn
too.
field.
That's fair.
I love the stadium. It's a great place to watch a ball
Too big.
game. But the dimensions are, they need to bring everything in. Bring center field into
Yeah.
400. I don't care what you got to do it. Bring those left and right field dimensions into like 320, 330.
And they've already moved it in from when they built it in 05, right?
What?
The-
For real?
Left field, yeah. Because the bullpen, I want to say the bullpen was on the field, wasn't it?
Yeah, because where the bullpen wall is used to be the left field wall.
Yeah, they moved. That's where they moved it in from, and that's where they adjusted where the bullpen was. But they haven't touched center field. No, it's still 420.
Well, Ryan, blaze it.
Uh,
Another thing that that kind of followed the same vein, Robbie Grossman got traded off to the Braves, and then he lit it up. He was hitting like crazy, and then everyone here is like, "Well, the hitting coach is garbage. Got to fire the hitting coach."
Yeah.
And you've got AJ Hinch, who, for all intents and purposes, is one of the best coaches in baseball.
mhm.
And it makes you think, does he get to pick all his staff? Does he get to help with the direction of the team? I guess they've enlisted him to help with the GM search, which is good. I mean,
Yeah.
it's guys that are going to be playing for him, and he knows the league really well. But how much of the rest of the coaching staff is dead weight, and how much control does, like we were talking about with Sheila, how much control do the general managers and the other staff actually have over their team? And how much is it Chris Illich saying, we can't spend money?
Yeah.
And I think that's the hard part.
That's the thing, like with I mean, I don't know for sure, but I gotta assume that he was able to bring in his own coaching staff. And I've questioned that myself too. Like everyone's like, "Oh, you say this guy's like one of the greatest coaches." Well, like if we're being honest, and again, I'm not a big baseball guy, so I can get killed for this either way. I don't care that I'll learn something. But like when he won the series, they said they were cheating. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm just throwing that out there. I don't know. Maybe it speaks to him. I don't know. I hope he's a good coach. Baseball is weird too.
I personally think I mean, the Astros did what they did or whatever, but I still think AJ Hinch is a good manager. Like from what I've ever seen and heard, AJ Hinch is a good manager. So that's why I thought when the Tigers got him, I'm like, okay, they got all these young guys. Yeah. Riley Green and Torkelson and all these young pitchers. And I'm like, why can't they be in the hunt for the wild card, especially this year where there's more teams making the playoffs going forward? But it just never materialized.
Well, we got the fluff, and then I think maybe egos kick in this season?
Could be.
It was a mixed bag on when Javi Baez was signed. It was almost like that was the second tier signing that we ended up getting, and he's getting a good chunk of money.
His play's been a mixed bag too.
Yeah, and that's I think the most baffling part. He's had some beautiful defensive plays, and that is exactly what he's known for.
Yep.
But his bat has been streaky as hell, which was absolutely no surprise.
Mm-hmm.
He can still put a damn
$140 million.
Oh,
signed him too.
He puts a charge in the ball, but it's like, when is it going to happen?
Yep.
Yeah.
And he goes up there like he hasn't changed his approach. Nope. So I mean, again, it goes back to, is it on the head coach? Is it on the hitting coach? I don't really know how to make that assumption. But I mean, to go to the point from earlier, though, Torks is in the lineup. He's at first base tonight.
Great.
So I wanted to touch on that because I was finding the lineup card. But it's just weird because I think Avila bought himself that half season by some of the signings that he made and the trade that he made for Meadows, got Baez. He brought in is it Rodriguez?
Yeah, who took hiatus
pitching, who disappeared from the face of the earth.
Yeah, he's like, I'm not going to play for you.
And that
guys.
was another gamble too. Like Tyler, we were talking about that before. Like you were happy to see him go, which to me,
I was so happy to see.
That's
him
terrifying because you don't
here.
know what you're necessarily getting. I mean, you look at his stats; they're not bad. He's a power left-handed pitcher, but when he's been in there, it's been good. But then he's gone for most of the season, and then we're like, oh shit, here we go again.
It's between the years, not to say mental health or whatever, but he's definitely got some issues in terms of when big games and pitching in big games, and he wasn't particularly good in the postseason with the Red Sox either. So I mean, he's one of those guys that, like, I mean, if he's your third or fourth starter, he's good. But if he's your guy, then I mean, I'd be scared to be that team. But yeah.
So our rating right now for the Tigers is in the dumpster. It's that dumpster that's on fire and it's floating down Woodward, and that's what's happening with the Tigers right now. But I want to get
Eurod's actually pitching tonight too. Ironically,
great. I'll make sure to tune in for 5 minutes.
He's our ace too. That's
yes, because everyone's hurt.
Yeah.
Nope.
So I know you're not a super huge follower. I mean, you are, though, the self-proclaimed Swedish elite scout.
Yeah.
So one, I want to ask you about that. And then I kind of want to get a outside perspective of someone looking in at the Red Wings, and if the buzz is just hitting outside of the Red Wings crowd to the kind of population of Detroit sports, and the Red Wings are coming back. Is it more than just us that knows about that? But I want to start with, you're the Swedish elite scout.
Yeah.
What did you do?
Dude, so like I had to fill in for Neil Rule on Big D Energy one day. So it's me and D-Mac, and we were having Danielle Bruce on. So I wanted to be prepared for like some hockey questions. And so I started like watching, because at that time, I think it was Kaiser was the mate for our guy Mo. And he wasn't doing too hot, if I'm correct. I could be wrong.
No, Danny DeKaiser.
Yeah. And so I'm like, okay, like what prospects do we have? You can say who's coming up that I could like ask Danny about. And like, dude, I watched this freaking dude, Simon Edvidson, and I was like, okay, he's pretty sweet. But then I fell in love with Soderblom because he's fucking huge. And like, so I just like I fell into this rabbit hole of like all these like Swedish like guys we have waiting, to get moved up, and then like. I'm coming in the next day. I'm like to DMAC. I'm like asking him all these questions. I'm all fired up. I'm like,
Darren's like, dude, chill out.
No, literally, because I'm watching it. I think it looks sweet, but I'm also like watching it as like a novice. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. Like, it could look sweet to me, but you know what I'm saying maybe it doesn't translate to the NHL. You know what I'm saying? It's like, so I had all these questions geared up and fired up to ask DMAC, and like, and then when the Simon Edvinsson actually got moved up, whatever, I called it, and they made a whole big Neil Rule. Actually, Neil Rule's a bully.
Yeah,
So,
we're gonna have Neil on too. I've asked him a couple times to come on and just talk wings, and dude can talk forever, and it'll be a real good show. But I want to kind of, like I said, get your view of an outside kind of someone who doesn't like religiously follow the Red Wings like we do, and what kind of buzz the Red Wings are creating around kind of just the Detroit sports like general public. Because I know for a while we've been so bad for quite a long time. Like since we started this podcast was where we were starting to hit like the steep decline into like terrible, and then build back up, hiring Steve Yzerman, and then just the rebuild now. But what's kind of like the feeling out there? What are you getting from just the average people?
It's tough because like some of it you do have to do like a little bit of the homework for, you know what I'm saying? Because like Edvinsson, Soderblom, like they weren't in the NHL to watch. But like what really like drew me in and like sucked me in was that opening night against the Tampa, and like the feeling of like LCA was.
Oh, we were there. It was on fire.
My ears were ringing,
bro. Yeah, Dylan Larkin swinging at Matthew, I think it was, or
clothesline.
Matthew Joseph.
Yeah, and freaking God, I can't.
Goldcocked him.
Tyler Bertuzzi's fucking. I think he had a hat trick that night.
Yep. Deep through him.
Yeah, and like it was like honest to God, I wish this camera was good enough. I'm getting goosebumps right now thinking about it. And I was just like, also like, you know, piecing it together with like what the Red Wings are historically to the city and like to the NHL, and the fact that Stevie Y, the guy who built Tampa Bay, you know what I'm saying, Tampa is like our GM. I was like, holy shit, like this looks like we're actually like piecing stuff together. But I gotta say, like on the outside though, like hell yeah, you have to at least give it a chance to give you that feeling, because you have Steve Yzerman, who's like a fucking man. You know what I'm saying? Like the Nelk boys are like this big like YouTube channel.
Yep.
Al Forgard, like one of his favorite players is Stevie Y. He always looked at the 19 jersey hanging up like wherever he's at. So I'm like, damn, like I didn't know Stevie Y had that big of an impact on like, because he's like a younger kid too. Like I'm saying, like I was young when Stevie Y was doing his thing. So like he's either the same age as me, if not younger. So like you have to give it the chance, I feel like. And like opening night did that for me and drew me in. So like the allure of Stevie Y's knowing he's there, and like, dude, now that Mo just won the Calder Cup, like the Calder Trophy, like people should definitely be paying attention, because like kind of like the way I said the Pistons are going to be this year. They may not win every game, but they're damn sure going to be exciting. I think the Red Wings were at least that, because I was never the biggest hockey fan.
Yeah,
it's crazy. I watched it this year. I'm like, dude, this shit's fucking like, it's awesome.
And that's what we're kind of hoping for. I mean, we're going into this season, like I said, and DMAC has talked about it on Big D Energy too, that they could sneak into a wild card spot this season. They've got the talent to do it now because of the moves that Yzerman has made. But our goal this year is to be competitive on a nightly basis. Yes. Because we don't have the superstar names. Yeah, and we got a new coach and everything. And we don't have the superstar names, and we don't have kind of the depth that a lot of other teams now do, because Yzerman's still building it up. But he's built something, going out and getting Kopp this season, going out and getting David Perron, DP57, going out. Lucas Raymond, you mentioned Mo for Calder. Lucas Raymond came in 4th for Calder voting. You've got 2 rookies in the top 5 in all rookies in the NHL. And this season, we're just asking for competitiveness. We're asking for less blowouts. I mean, you may have seen, we got blown out by the Arizona Coyotes.
I was at that game. That was not fun.
It's embarrassing. So we want more consistency. We want more fight. We want more grit. We want more competitiveness. That's what we're asking for. And that could lead to a wild card position. But I think, and even other people who, like I said, don't watch hockey, I think they've been put on notice. They've followed it because it's going to start being in more media. It's going to start being talked about more on, and I hate Detroit sports radio. It is absolutely awful. If listening to 97 with the tickets, like putting fucking forks in my ears, and they're going to have to start talking more about hockey and covering it more, because it is going to get more exciting.
They will.
Yeah. Like you said, Elmer Soderblom, the dude, I think, is going to be a really good like NHL third liner. But we had talked about last episode. I had said the dude is going to be a star not because of his play, but because of what he is. He's like a 7-foot dude who's just going to dangle around. Like he'll be able to stick handle over people's heads. It's going to be.
Yeah.
And then
as a novice, dude, like I said, I don't know what the hell I was watching, but I just saw this giant fucking human being just like doing
going between the legs.
I'm like, that's a good thing, right? That's got to be a good thing.
Like, Zdeno Chara, I mean, most famous for being one of the largest men in hockey. But Soderblom, like, his skating is bad because he's so big. He's just slow.
I wouldn't even call it bad. It's just, it's
slow.
Because of his size.
But he'll do like Ryan said. He's attempted between the leg goals. He's gotten between where he will skate by and got between as a 7-foot skater between the leg goals. And it's just, that's the kind of thing that you may not put up 60 points a season. He may only ever get 30 points a season, but he's going to be a star because of what he can do for how big he is. And I think that's the kind of thing that the Red Wings will be happy with, and Red Wings fans and others will be happy with, is because stuff will start showing up on top 10 plays of the week for sports. Stuff will start showing up on, just news around sports in general. Like ESPN now, I think it'll help that ESPN now has the NHL contract, the TV rights, because NHL will show up more. But I think it happened at the right time because Red Wings will start to be mentioned now more in national media because of Sider and Raymond, but also because of Edvinsson and what they have coming up. So I think it's going to put the rest of Detroit sports nation on notice and maybe make them pay a little bit more attention.
Well, that them being in the national spotlight brings in more money, because you look at back in the day, like the Wings were the team to have on national broadcasts.
Yes.
And they brought in the ratings because they would be on there, between 15 and 18 times a season on NBC, even going back to ESPN. It was always like the Red Wings. That was the team you got to see on national television, whether you liked it or not. But it's because the ratings are there. You mentioned it. They're an original six franchise. It's all about the money. And if the Wings can start pulling in that money again for ESPN and especially TNT, because I like TNT far more than I did ESPN this season. And that's just going to keep growing the games. It's huge. They need it. And it's going to, hopefully that same thing starts happening again with the Pistons.
Dude, and like it's so much easier to fall in love and have faith in the Red Wings too, because like you said, the original six, and like they were just one of the best franchises in the NHL. I'm not the biggest hockey guy, but just from like my perspective, I'm saying there's just so much history to go with it. The Winter Classic is one of the coldest jerseys in sports. You know what I'm saying? Like it just is. So like you have like all that it just feels special. You know what I'm saying? And I want to be here for like the incline of like what they're going to be or what I hope they can be. Mm-hmm. You have Stevie Y who's in charge of it all, who's like a champion who brought, like I'm saying, like cups to the city itself. Like it's such a Cinderella story. All together. You have Dylan Larkin, the captain, you know what I'm saying, the hometown kid. Like this is hockey town too. Like it almost feels too good to be true, but it also feels like it just makes sense. Like this shit's gonna fucking happen, man. Like I'm pumped.
That's what adds the new level to Hutch getting brought into the Lions too. Because how long before is he going to see that captain for being the defensive captain on this team? And can he do what Larkin's hoping to do with the Red Wings for the Lions?
100%.
And 2 University of Michigan guys too, just by the way.
Jesus.
I love how you had to get real close to the camera and mic on that one, Tyler. Appreciate that. Thanks for the reminder.
Yeah, I agree though. I think that it takes that kind of, it makes it, you look at it, and when it does happen, it's going to be something special that happens. And it's kind of currently, I mean, if you want to call it a rags to riches because of what Holland did towards the end to what Yzerman's doing now. And it's going to make a story out of itself. Like it's something that like ESPN could do a special on it eventually if they wanted to.
If they do it, dude, this is going to be a 30 for 30 for sure.
Yeah, so I think that that's kind of the interesting part about it, is that it's not just that it's going to happen, it's that there's going to be a story to it, and there's going to be a background, like Yzerman bringing in, and I think it's something that's been glossed over, especially recently, is Yzerman brought in Nick Lidstrom be like VP of hockey ops. Like I think everyone forgot about that for a minute, but he's like building a dream team. He has former players. He's got Cronwall out there scouting Sweden. I'm waiting for him to pry Brendan Shanahan away from the Maple Leafs.
It's
That
not
was
going to happen.
my call, dude.
So yeah, get Eazy out there on the streets. Easy on the streets. That's what we're gonna do.
Get him out there with Haken.
But I think that it's going to be a story that could be made out of it, and I think it's really exciting. But I think that's going to do it for us tonight. I kind of want to get you guys' final thoughts, but first, Eazy, plug what you want to plug. Where you at? Where can people find you? What are you doing? What are you up to?
Well, actually, can I ask you guys a question real quick?
Yeah, we're open for questions.
I think like the biggest thing we need right is our defense.
Right, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Are we gonna get that this year with Edvinsson? And is Johansson coming up too, or like?
Oof. So I have Edvinsson making the open night roster. There was help brought in Oli Mata. Ben Sherratt is, I think, one of the big things. People were kind of downplaying the signing because of the term he was given.
Yeah.
But he is, his job is he can provide a little bit of offense. He knocks people on their asses.
Yeah.
So what's going to happen is if he's up there with Mo has an offensive side to him. And if he's on the top line with Sider, he's just going to open up the entire ice for Sider to do whatever he wants to do. And we know Sider isn't getting hit because he does the reverse checks and no one can knock him down. But with Sherratt running around and knocking people over and giving Mo that space, that's going to bump up that top line to an elite level. You've got the second pairing. If you get Edvinsson in, then Edvinsson right now, they want him to grow toward a Mo kind of role. And he's been very, very good in the SHL. So our defense, and that's like, you're right, the one thing we needed to improve over last season is defense. And we did that by signing Oli Mata, signing Ben Sherratt. And I think it's going to help quite a bit. So it'll help Ned and now Ville Husso, who's one of our new goalies, get a lot more help in front of the net to up their game as well. Because a goalie without a good defense in front of him is not much of a goalie. So,
yeah.
Go ahead. Dylan Larkin, we still have to re-sign him, no? Or that's like next year's like his last year?
He has another year, but I know Yzerman said he wanted to get him signed before training camp, which is in like a week now, week and a half.
Okay.
So he doesn't have much time to do that if that's his end goal. But he still has another year, which could bite you in the ass because if he flies out the gate and just destroys the league, you're paying him an extra $1 million to $2 million a season.
Before the injury, he was kicking ass this year.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So he could do it, and he's still got time, and Yzerman is a magician, so he'll get it done. But if he wants to get it done before training camp, he's got a week and a half left.
Yeah. I'm super torn on Edvinsson. As much as I think he would do fine in Detroit, I'm not going to be against him going to Grand Rapids. And the big thing for me behind that reasoning is that was really the plan with Mo, if you think about it. And then COVID hit, and that kind of derailed it because he was already playing in Grand Rapids before that point happened. And then he went back to Europe and he saw his top minutes with Mo Rogla. And he came in his own. And that, I think, helped propel him a little bit coming back into Detroit last season. And Edvinsson, you could argue, is at a similar path, but he doesn't have the AHL time yet. But he has that time playing against men, but again, the big thing of guys coming from Europe to the NHL is the ice size.
Yeah, getting used to the smaller ice.
And he handled that and make that easy transition that we saw from Mo. But again, Mo had time in the AHL, played on the smaller ice, then went back and then came back again. So that's where I'm torn. I'm not. Do I want him in Detroit? Yes. But we wouldn't be mad. I think he's going to end up in Grand Rapids simply because of the signings that Yzerman made. You mentioned Sherratt and Mata, but there's several other guys that are out there that are on this roster that are likely NHL bound. But you never know with injuries. Wallman's already out. Is it Piszczyk's
out? Yep, he was signed and then got
there's a couple guys they brought in and re-signed that aren't going to be playing for potentially several months. So he's got the opportunity, and you just got to look at it.
For.
Is he better than Jordan Osterley? Is he better than Gustav Lindstrom? I think you can easily say yes. And those guys are going to be your depth guys on this team. So
did Raymond play in Grand Rapids?
Raymond did not play in Grand Rapids. Raymond was the guy that everyone said initially gave him like a 20% chance of starting the season in Detroit. And then training camp came around and he blew it out of the water. Then preseason came around and he blew it out of the water. And Verona was, that too. But he earned his spot.
He did.
So Lucas Raymond, it's the same thing. Now, the other thing between North American game and the game over in Sweden is the North American game is much more physical. So Edvinsson has to be prepared to get... He can because he's huge. So he's got to be prepared to hit and take a hit.
Ooh, okay. All right, can I ask one more question?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, because I noticed, that's another thing that got me hooked too was playoffs. The intensity of NHL playoffs is insane. But I noticed a lot of teams is like speed. I feel like it's like the era that we're in now with hockey, where I feel like
speed and skill.
He's got all these big ass guys. Is that like a concern, or you think it's like that's in?
I don't think this year, with the way this roster's built, they're bigger, but there's skill there. I think that's the simplest way to put it. It helps that I think we were talking about it the one night a couple of weeks ago. Everyone that he brought in, I think with the exception of one guy that is going to make an impact on this roster, has playoff and Stanley Cup experience.
Yep.
And they know what it's going to take to get this team to that point, or if they're still here by that point. And that's going to speak a lot to the younger guys, because we already know that there's speed there. We know that Kopp can bring speed. We know that Kubelik's got some speed. Perron being 34, almost 35, that's to be
decent foot speed for the age.
He's not going to be relied upon to do that. It's how he can set up Larkin, Kopp, and so Verona, set up those guys to go do the crazy speed shit.
You got to have a mix of speed, skill, and toughness, and that's kind of what's been brought this season. Will
the defense have some speed to them? That's going to be the one to watch, though, to your point. The defensive style was addressed, but will they be able to keep up? What's that, Tyler?
Oh, no, I was just going to say the defense should be fast, with the exception of maybe Sherratt and Mata. I don't think Mata's extremely fast, but besides that, everybody else should be
mobile.
At the very least, normal speed, if not above average speed. So I don't think there'll be an issue there. I just want to touch on the Edvinsson point. I think there really isn't much excuse as to the reason why Edvinsson wouldn't make the team. I think the only thing is if he has a bad camp. I think he'll be given every opportunity to make the team. I don't know if there'll be expectations per se that he makes the team, but I think he'll be given every opportunity. And if he makes the most of it, then he'll be on the opening night roster and he'll get his, 8 games, and they'll go from there.
Yep.
I think you got to hope that he takes the Mo approach, where he's just out there to have fun this year, and what happens, and then you go from there.
Yeah, and the 8 games thing is just a contract issue. It's hockey contracts are weird. If you're on an entry level contract, and which is like your first 3 years, if you play if you play 8 games or less in a season, they can slide your contract.
That was 9.
9 games. Yeah, because it's 10 game limit. 9 games or less in a season, they can slide your contract another year. So it wouldn't count. It wouldn't count as a year. So
damn. So you almost kind of don't want them to until we're
exactly. So you can say, well, we can slide them and then space out the cap spend and see how it works that way. But
if Mo and Luke keep going the way they're going, they're going to get paid.
Yep. They're going to get big. Like Mo, I can see, and we had talked about this too, next season, because Larkin, if he doesn't get signed this season, you need to sign him at the offseason. You're probably also looking to give Seider a contract before he gets even better. Sign him a year early, and the same thing with Raymond. And Seider already, if he repeats what he did and increases, he's going to be a $10+ million player.
Yeah. So. That's why we need that cap.
Which in other sports is not big, but in hockey, that's huge. So
isn't the top guy paid like $15 million or something in hockey?
Is Connor the top player still?
Is it? It should be McDavid.
Isn't he only making like 12.5, McDavid?
Hold on.
Yeah, it's going to keep going up. You'll see in the next couple of years, he'll be a $15 million player, easy.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
what do you got going? You could be like, as good as he is.
Yeah, right.
Wow.
That's why I hope that cap does keep going up. Yeah, he's 12.5, and then Panarin's right behind him at 11.6 with Matthews.
Yep.
Well, look, man, like you said, Red Wings on ESPN, or like the more it's going to grow,
money, man,
it's gonna have to go up for sure.
Which they're just going to put ads on jerseys now. It makes me pissed off because jersey ads are ugly as shit. But whatever. So, where can people find you? What do you got going on online and everywhere?
Woodward Heavyweights live every single day, Monday through Friday, from 5 to 7 on Woodward Sports. Make sure you guys check us out. Like I said, right now it's off season, but obviously about to jump into the Detroit Lions season, so things will spice up a little bit more. But we're kind of like the knuckleheads of the network, I'd say. We started in this room, and we kicked ass, man. I'm not gonna lie, we kicked a lot of ass from this room. So they brought our obnoxiousness and dick jokes onto the main stage, and we're trying, make it a thing there as well. And I'm excited. I definitely get some of you guys on once we get closer to hockey season.
Yeah. It's fun time, man. Hockey's always, the hockey crowd is like we said, Twitter is like our family. Like the hockey Twitter is like one of the best sports groups you'll ever find. It's amazing.
I can't wait for the home opener. Yeah. Hopefully Tyler's here, but I
want to hit a game
on Twitter. Everyone gets together.
You guys going to like a big game. You get a bunch of people together. Like hit me up because
home opener is what we normally go to. Last time we had have been like 30 people. This season it's probably going to be like 60. We're going to probably have 60 people from Twitter or more at the home opener this year. So
last game I went to was during COVID with DMAC, and like it was empty.
That sounds like a
dude,
special.
This home opener is going to be crazy. It's Montreal. You got the original 6 matchup on a Friday night.
Yeah.
Oh man,
that place is going to be loud.
It'll be rocking. Ryan, where can people find you online?
Already Ryan 33.
Tyler
at SealDog91.
You can find me online at Bringing the Wing. You can find the Grindline Podcast online at Grindline Pod, wherever you can find podcasts. Please go sub to us on YouTube. We are also running a contest right now on Twitter with our friends over at the Hockey Podcast Network, where you could win a pair of Raycon wireless earbuds. So go on there, retweet the contest. The podcast with the most retweets, a winner is picked from them. Yeah. We also give a shout out to Vintage Detroit, which is the only place you should get Detroit jerseys from and worked on. If you use a promo code GRINDLINE on Bring Hockey Back, you'll get 12% off. And if you use that same promo code on Howie's Hockey Tape, you will get 10% off. Again, Eazy, thank you for coming on. Thank you for your time. We love talking to you. We'll have you back on after some crazy shit happens this season, I'm sure, to talk more. And then we always like to jump in on YouTube to the various shows and talk in the chat too, and it's a great time. But that is going to do it for us tonight. So for Ryan and Tyler, I am Greg. You stay classy, Hockey Town.